Another one that can the Browns go from worst to first in 2026? Again, I know you addressed this Locked On Browns.
I mean, never say never, right? But I think for the Browns, it's a tall task, and that was kind of the point I made on the podcast for sure. Was as you look around this league, there's always teams that go from not in the playoffs to in the playoffs every single year. In some instances, there's situations where the teams go worst to first, and I use the Patriots as the perfect example of this. Like at least within their division, that happens, right? And the Patriots are the team that did that. They went from last in the AFC East to first, and then made a run to the Super Bowl. No matter how critical you are of how they got there, they still did get there. And so, I think that's I think that's even more far fetched than just like going worst to first in the division. I don't know if the Browns should be considered by anybody a Super Bowl contending team next year. But the idea of like going worst to first in the division, I wouldn't predict it. But here's what I would say: like this division is kind of interesting now because there's this window where 3 of the 4 teams have new coaches, and I know we know that Jesse Minter is going to be a really good coach. We've seen what Mike McCarthy is in this league. So there's some thought that maybe those 2 teams kind of figured this thing out, and everyone obviously trusts those teams maybe a little bit more than they trust the Browns. The Bengals kept Zach Taylor and have a juggernaut of an offense, so they kind of have a foundation there. But there's no guarantee that any of these hires work out, that the Bengals get their situation figured out on defense and they can just like take off. So it is kind of wide open in terms of trying to make that run. I just don't know if the Browns are ready for that quite yet. The biggest difference between the Browns and the Patriots is that the Patriots they drafted their quarterback and then realized, okay, we got to give this guy a bunch of talent, a bunch of help, and they went about that, doing so. So maybe if you think Shedeur Sanders is the guy, that's a possible outcome. But I think there's still more to be seen there. I think Drake May sort of was trending in the right direction towards the end of the season. Ironically, he had sort of similar numbers. He had like 15 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Like he had thrown a lot of picks at the end of his rookie season, but I don't know that the Browns are quite there yet. They still have some things they have to figure out. But, there's going to be some team that I think makes a run that maybe surprises us. I could see it being the Giants. I could even see it being a team like the Falcons, potentially with Kevin Stefanski and the talent that they have there. So we'll see. But I'm not betting on the Browns doing that, but we do see this happen in the NFL.